Hi guys, welcome back to the 6th episode of The Path to a New Edition. And in this package things start to settle down. By this point they're getting a firm grasp on what they want to do in 5th edition, and they set the rules a lot more. They strip out a lot of things from the past few packages, especially the escalation of power, which we'll see as we go through, but they start to make it look a lot more like 5th edition does when it came out. And over the next couple of packages they're going to be much more brief because they actually didn't change a lot in packages 7 and 8. And then we've got the final couple where it's getting really close to 5th edition. So this is the last time they really juggle things up, but let's go over to the desktop and have a look. And so this is the 6th playtest package that they sent out, and they sent it out on the 20th of March 2013, even though it says at the top of the file here, 20th of March 2012. We mistake, but all the files are dated for 2013 as we go through them, so we know that was when they came out. Now, there's a bunch of changes in this version, mainly it's stripping it back again. As I kind of mentioned in the last video, the edition that they brought out there was really stacking on damage. You were getting bonuses from your race, you were getting bonuses from your class, you were getting bonuses from here, there and everywhere. Doing lots and lots of damage, you went up levels. Well, they decided to dial back on that. They really cut that out. So if we start looking at the changes, we've got using materials, so how to play, character creation, DM's guidelines, bestiary, general rules. Many areas of the rules have been clarified or expanded. Actions. 3 actions have been revised. Coup de grace, grapple and use an item. 2 actions have been cut. Disarm and push. Both of these are now handled by feats. Conditions. Some of the game's conditions have been revised. Blinded, deafened, ethereal and stunned. Tasks and skills have been revised to match ability scores and feature common tasks associated with these abilities. These tasks form the basis for the skills in the game, the rules of which have been revised. Skill die. Progress in the skill die has been modified. Additionally, the option is now present to gain new skills instead of increasing your skill die. 2 weapon fighting has been changed, death and dying has been changed, and other revisions. So ranged attacks, attacking an unseen target, taking a long rest, pushing, dragging, or lifting a heavy load. There's lots of little changes in there, and I'm not going to go into all of them because I'm aware these videos are already starting to stretch out quite long as I go into way too much detail. But let's carry on through. So classes. The martial damage dice have gone. Bonus have been removed in the Barbarian, Cleric, Fighter and Rogue. The Deadly Strike class features replaced the martial damage bonus, and the Fighter retained a feature similar to martial damage dice. Barbarian. Rage bonus has changed. Barbarian attack hostile creatures to continue his or her rage. Clerics. Many channel divinity options have been revised. Druid. Druid is now in the playtest. Fighter. Fighters received a major revision. In addition to the Deadly Strike revision, fighters now receive expertise dice, which refresh during the short rest, giving the fighter an ability to do some exceptional things in combat. Monk has been revised. Paladin is now in the playtest. Rangers now in the playtest. Rogue's skill mastery has been folded into the rogue schemes. Wizardly knowledge feature has been revised to function better with the skill system. We've got some new spells. Feats have been revised. Equipment have been updated. Consumables. Task revisions. Monster XP. And the same things that they're messing around with usually. Now, they do mention looking to playtest more, which they've added to this, where they mention they're handing out Reclaiming Blingdenstone, Caves of Chaos, Isle of Dread, the Mud Sorcerer's Tomb, which is for level 14. And those were in the last package as well, and they've not changed. The dates are still the same on the files, they've not updated those at all. But it mentions that you can find stores which are taking part in the playtests and actually go in and sit in on their games. So they were starting to spread it out, having the D&D Encounters official play program. Well, let's carry on through. So we've got the How to Play section. Now we've got 25 pages here, And let's be honest, most of it's very similar. Ability scores. What else we got? Exploration, time movement. This is all standard D&D stuff. They're fiddling with very little details here. There's nothing major changed. Damage and dying. You die when your hit points drop to a number that equals your constitution score plus your character's level expressed as a negative value. If you're 5th level and you have 14 constitution, for example, you die when your hit points drop to -19. And we're still at the make a DC 10 constitution saving throw. On a failure, take 1d6 damage. So when you reach -19, or whatever it is for that character, you will die. So we're still working with that kind of rule. And we've got the different things. So if you're intoxicated, paralyzed, prone. We've got the magic, how to cast spells. We're on to the DM guidelines, which again, very, very similar to other versions. Advice on ignoring the dice, saving throws. We've got 23 pages. Let's just flick through those. They are very standard Dungeons & Dragons rules. And character creation. Again, there's not much changing in here. They've got the choose a race, choose a class, choose a background before you're assigned as ability scores. So the backgrounds are still core here. We've got the optional choose a specialty feat in there. Fill in numbers, describe your characters, taking you up to 20th level now. We've got the races. Well, this is the first place that things have changed slightly. So, as I've been pointing out, the weapon training for the different species. Now it's changed, so we've got dwarven weapon training. You are proficient with the battle axe, hand axe, throwing hammer, and warhammer. Whereas in the last versions, you increase the damage dice. So if you were using a hand axe which did d6 damage, you'd roll a d8 for your damage instead. If you were a dwarf and proficient using that weapon. Elves would get it with long swords, short swords, and long bows. Halflings would get it with daggers. Humans would get nothing. And I didn't like that. They have now done away with that. But apart from that, we are mainly looking at species as we know them. We've got low light vision, keen senses, free spirit for elves, different types of halflings, etc. Then we're on to the classes. So the barbarian's looking a lot more like the 5th edition version. You've got your rage bonuses, you've got class features. These are different to what was finally published, but it's starting to look very, very familiar. Through the cleric, we've got the channel divinity a number of times per day. So they can do multiple lays on hands, sorry, not multiple lays on hands, multiple turns, etc. as they go up levels. We've got druids. Druids have the wild shape, which is, in my opinion, one of the most overpowered things in 5th edition. Why is a druid going to wander around in their natural form when they can wander around as a bear? And when they get killed or reduced to 0 hit points, they then return to their ordinary form and they can just carry on. It doubles their hit points, plus they're a bear. This changes it slightly, because while it does say you revert to your form, it doesn't make it clear that you take all the damage in your transmuted form. So it hadn't been decided at this point, or that was brought up in player, in the playtest. But we've got different shapes they can take as they go up levels. So wild shape hound, wild shape rodent, wild shape steedfish, bird of prey, and going on, so they gain extra shapes. So they wouldn't be able to become a bear straight away. They would have to wait until one of the higher levels before they could do that. Very nice. And I kind of like this version better than the way it's handled in 5th edition. Carrying on through, we've got fighters. They've got their attack bonuses. They've got their martial feats and expertise dice, but they have lost all those martial damage levels, damage points and damage dice. We've got the monks, again looking kind of familiar to 5th edition, but a bunch of different abilities in here. Then we're on to the paladins. The paladins have the channel divinity multiple times per day, so they can lay on their hands multiple times. and gain their abilities to turn or whatever they get from their gods. We've got the Oath, so they can be an Oath Paladin here. We're getting various special abilities that go up levels, including the Mount, which is nice. We've got Rangers, the favoured enemies in here, still from 3rd edition, but now is very broadly gathered into different groups. You've got Brute Hunter, so you've hunted orcs, goblins, or other evil humanoids. You've got Dragon Slayer, you've got Giant Killer, and they gain abilities you go up levels. So Dragon Slayer at 1st level has Dragon Lore. Fearless, they cannot be frightened at 1st level. 2nd level, Slayer of the Colossus. They damage a creature with an attack, but do not reduce it to 0 hit points or fewer. You deal 1d6 extra damage to that creature. Evasion, you make a dexterity saving throw to take only half damage from an effect. You instead take no damage if you succeed on the saving throw. So Dragon's Breath hitting a ranger 8th level who has Dragon Slayer, they'll be able to dodge out the way completely. Evasion, much like the Thief ability that it is now. We've got the Rogues. They've had their bonus damage stripped out, but they've still got various extra abilities, including Sneak Attack. And the Wizards in here, looking very much like wizards. We've got the backgrounds and skills, which are still quite interesting. They have the traits still, so if we go on to the Charlatan, which is my favourite, we've still got the trait False Identity. You have created a second identity. And I do like the way that adds to a background, that it gives you something for having that background beyond just the skills and suggested equipment for starting. Specialties and Feats. Again, these are no longer core, but they are essentially suggested feats. So at level 1 you get Approved Initiative for an Ambusher, at level 3 First Strike, level 6 Ambush, level 9 Covert Strike. And there are a bunch of different ones in here, and then we're on to the feats and the descriptions of what they are. We've got equipment. Very standard, you know, different types of weapons, different types of armour. It's not changed much. Magic items, similar. They've altered some minor things. Some of the items have changed, but this is very standard, you know. What was that there? Dancing Swords, Flame Tongue Longswords, Holy Avengers. If you play Dungeons & Dragons, you're familiar with all of these. The spells, again, they're messing around very slightly with the abilities of each spell, but we're very familiar with the spells here. Level 1 spells, Bless, Cause Fear, Command, Create Water, and so on and so forth. These are all very, very familiar to anybody. We've got 50 pages here, so I'm not going to drag through those. Bestiary. If I go to the Drow, which I've used as an example in previous packages, we've got quite a few demons and things here. The bestiary is getting quite long. It's 91 pages now. So we're getting a lot of stuff in the playtest packages. Dragons. Drow. Now, previously they had the ability, natural abilities for Fairy Fire. It was called Dark Fire in one of the versions previous. Now they've been reduced down to spellcasting. The Drow cast one of the following spells once per day. Darkness or Fairy Fire. So they've kind of faded that way into a just generic spell casting, and instead of having special uses or capabilities for the Drow Fairy Fire, they just cast the spell, so if you know the spell, you know how their ability works. And carrying on through, we've finally got the adventures. So we've got the Caves of Chaos adventure, Isle of Dread, Reclaiming Blingdenstone, and the Mud Sorcerer's Tomb, which they added in the last package. These are very, very standard adventures. They haven't altered these at all. The dates on them are 17th of December, 29th of October. So at some point these are already getting 6 months old. But that's this package. They've really started to strip out the stuff they didn't like. Whereas up to 5th edition they were trying a lot of new things. This is where they've stripped a lot of that out to see whether the core game is working. And I like that. They do try a few things in the last few packages. We've got, what, 4 packages to go? 7, 8, 9, 10. And we shall see the things that they try out in the last few. But they've really got together what 5th edition is going to be, and this is starting to look very, very familiar. There's just some little tweaks they need to do. But anyway, I think I've whittled on for quite long enough. So thank you very, very much for watching. And as always, you look after yourself. And I'll catch you later. Bye now.